let's get into our game preview. What are you guys watching when the Raiders have the ball?
Yeah, see if your guy fucking AOC gives him this spark that you've been saying he's gonna give all season. I mean, he's talking like he's
It's not a
Tom Brady
spark.
or
It's a
something.
jolt. Is it
Uh,
first?
we'll,
It's a
we'll,
jolt. All right, it's a
A
jolt.
jolt?
whatever it
Yeah.
is, we'll see if it looks any different at quarterback for
There's
them.
no way he's giving him a jolt without Davante Adams. So I
No,
think we better
we
go
agreed
back
that
down to
jolt
Spark.
is like
Jolt's
lesser. The
Jolt's
lesser.
lesser than Spark?
Is it? I
Jolt's
don't
something.
know. I
No,
thought we
Jolt's
agreed jolt was the
is it,
lesser than spark.
I don't recall having this conversation with you about Jolt versus Sparks, but I think Jolt's aren't they like thunder? Isn't it like a thunder jolt?
Look at this.
What is
Somebody
that?
replied to the Aidan O'Connell like right as we recorded.
I mean, so
That's pretty accurate.
I think I lower your bar a little bit. I don't think. I mean, we want. I think the Raiders just want no interceptions. I think they want no turnovers and just kind of ideally like, was had the running game has to get going to give the Bible some time. Otherwise, there'll be a sitting duck back there. But I think Jolt, Spark, whatever you're saying, let's bring it down a little bit. Just let's try to get some first downs and some points and kind of build some momentum slowly but surely.
Yeah, I think it's just about cutting the negative plays out. Like you said, less interceptions and less sacks, less holding on to the ball, and to see what you could do on offense when you kind of lower that rate of negative plays. And it just seemed like towards the end there, Gardner Minshew was just lost his confidence. I mean, just so jittery in a pocket, missing passes. It seemed like they had no choice but to sit him at this point and let him figure things out. I guess.
I mean, I will say, I know you're talking about. He got hit a lot. He took a lot of shots. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think you're talking about he forced some of the pressure on himself, and he's jittery. But anybody be jittery if it's under constant pressure. I think the line has not been very good this year, so I don't think that really bodes well for Aidan. But maybe he gets rid of the ball faster, and it's not an issue. But I think Gardner clearly was not comfortable. I think part of that was because I think he thought he had some more time back there, and he probably thought he had Davante to throw the ball to the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I think it's at this point, yeah, you got to make a switch because the offense, 5 games is a good sample size, and they kind of stink. So you can't. They change running backs. They got to change quarterbacks. So I'm not sure what's next. Maybe I don't know what you do next, but yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think when the Raiders have the ball, obviously they need to be able to run the ball, and I think they have run the ball a little bit better, especially with Jackson Powers Johnson in there, and I think they're trying less to be less of an outside zone team. Outside zone is going to be their staple, of course, but they're trying out other concepts, which has been helpful. And the Steelers, you can run the ball on them a little bit. I mean, that's I think that's the one area where you can't get them. You don't want to be in too many third and long situations against them. They're 30th in tackles for losses or stops at the line of scrimmage. So I think there's potential to run the ball on them, but you don't want to get into third and long,
Um,
obviously. And
it,
was that?
yeah, I think it might be tough. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're fifth in rushing yards allowed, and third in yards per carry allowed, so they're pretty good against the run. I think it might be tough for this Raiders run game. Like, because people pointed out, I think last week when just looking at the numbers, like the total yardage and yards per carry, it looked like the Raiders had a solid day on the ground against the Broncos. But they had that one long run by Amir Abdullah. But outside of that, when it came to running back carries, it really wasn't too good. I mean, Alexander Madison struggled a little bit. It looks like Zamir White, might be doubtful to play again this week. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know if this is going to be the week that they get the ground game going against this tough Steelers run. Maybe they prove me wrong, but uh, it'd be tough sledding this week.
We need more Abdullah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they should ever be a team that goes to a run heavy script, but I think they have to at least get some efficient gains. But it seems like this is more of a run game that eventually hits some explosives here and there, but they're just not very good from down to down, and they're still bottom the worst team in the league as far as offensive rushing success, which kind of measures efficiency. So maybe that I think ideally they get some efficient runs and stay out third and long, but it just it's probably not going to happen. I think you can hit some explosive pass plays against the secondary. The problem is just buying enough time. And like I mentioned, like the pass rush is going to be weakened this week with the injuries. And if you could focus on taking away T.J. Watt, there's some holes in the secondary, especially on the outside against these corners. I, the Cowboys moved the ball up and down against this team. They just really were really bad in the red zone. So if you could
Cowboys
block
Cowboys
TJ,
have Dak Prescott though,
Let's say
so
have
yeah,
Dak
but
Prescott, CD
he,
Lamb,
he made some very
a little
impressive
bit
throws.
different, a
Yeah,
little
but
bit
there
different.
were some wide open throws too. So
No, they have
I think
had some.
I mean these corners aren't that good. I would say
okay,
that's the weakness of this defense
all right.
are their corners.
Let's attack him, man.
I think everybody expects Joey Porter Jr. to have like a big step up after he played his rookie year, but I don't think he's played that well this year. So yeah, Trey Tucker's got to be. I think for this offense to move the ball, this is a game where Trey Tucker has to be very good in this game.
I agree. I think Trey definitely can be if his speed is up a definitely different level. I would try to avoid the jump balls. There were two of them last week. They tried to throw it up to him. It was like 5-7. So I mean that one you got to get rid of those plays. But
Don't test Riley Moss, man. Riley Moss is the
Riley,
guy.
Riley Moss. Okay. I ended up walking away from that game thinking Riley Moss was the guy. But yeah, obviously Brock Bowers would be a focal point. I mean, it's going to be tougher on him now without Davante. I think he's now the focus of defenses. So we'll see that. I mean, Steelers definitely, I'm sure, will game plan against him to take him out of the game. So you need guys like Tucker and Myers to kind of step up and make plays, and maybe even Madison out of the backfield. Madison, we talked about his running; he's not been great, but definitely can be a weapon out of the backfield catching some balls. So maybe that's the way you go this week, try to get him some passes in space.
Yeah, and this is a cover three heavy zone team, so you'll be able to get the ball short to Brock Bowers as well. Jake Ferguson from the Cowboys had a couple passes underneath that he turned into 10, 13-yard gains. So obviously that needs to be in the game plan as well and should be every week. But especially against this team, you got to be able to get Brock Bowers the ball in the quick game. When the Steelers have the ball, what are you guys watching for?
I think the big thing this week's model for the Raiders is can they tackle? I mean, it's been pretty bad the last few weeks. They lead the NFL in missed tackles, according to Pro Football Reference. And one thing about the Steelers is they're going to play physical football. They haven't been the most efficient rushing team this year, but they're going to do it anyway with Najee Harris and obviously Justin Fields. You know what he can do with his legs. With him, that's expecting him to be the starter this week. And so I think the Raiders have to step up big time when it comes to tackling, and that we've seen that some of these plays that should have been short runs or maybe short completions have turned into big plays for these teams that they've been going against. And so that has come to an end, especially with them missing a few guys. On the defensive side of the ball, Christian Wilkins obviously out for a while. Malcolm Kuntz out for the season. Marcus Epps out for the season, and so they can't have these self-inflicted issues. Missed tackles. Not to say that the offense doesn't have a factor in that, but that's really a issue when it comes to fundamentals on defense, and so they have to shore that stuff up.
Yeah, Epps is good against the run. And we talked about him being the guy in the back who's always in charge and kind of directing traffic. But he also, I thought, was pretty solid against the run. So I think he'll be missed this week. And the Steelers are not very efficient at running the ball. Najee Harris is not what he was supposed to be out of college. But they're going to try and establish him because that's what they do. So I think a lot of the focus will be on the guys in front. I mentioned Butler and Jenkins, those guys. They need to at least shore up their front line, at least at the start of the game, kind of discourage the Steelers from thinking they can run the ball down their throats, because then they're going to go back to some other stuff. But the Steelers always have the same plan. They come out, they try to punch you in the mouth, and then they react to that. So if you can stop those runs early on, you'll definitely be in a good situation going forward.
Yeah, and you have to stop. The biggest threat for the Steelers right now is Justin Fields running the ball. And for you to stop that option game, the secondary guys have to come up and tackle. They did a good job against Lamar Jackson. So Palomau, Jack Jones, Jacoin Bennett, Morig, those guys have to be ready to come up. And Justin Fields is obviously a different type of runner than Lamar Jackson. You're gonna have to bring it against him. You maybe you don't have to worry about getting juked out of your shoes as much. I mean, he's still capable of doing that. But these guys have to be ready. I mean, it's a unique challenge having to tackle a quarterback that big and that fast, and you can't let them get into the open field. As far as their receiving, their passing game, there's just not a lot of threats to that you have to worry about. I mean, George Pickens is supposed to be that guy, but he's so inconsistent. I mean, if you watch tape against the Cowboys, I mean, there's plays where he's just jogging around, and there's a reason why they're cutting his snaps. Like he's just not. I mean, if he knows he's not getting the ball, he's just not very. But I mean, it's it's this kind of type of situation where like maybe he gets the message this week and he starts going all out, and unfortunately for the Raiders, they might catch him on that type of game.
Yeah, I watched him today in the locker room. He was talking to reporters, and he hasn't gotten the message. He was talking about they asked him why he thought they cut back his workload and his reps. He's like, "Oh, it's just game plan," which not. I mean, clearly he's not getting the. They're trying to be nice about it, and not like chew him out in public and say, "Hey, man, you got to give maximum effort." But there's definitely something under the surface there, which is not good. So that's why I was joking. It wasn't really a joke. I mean, I think if the Steelers want Davante Adams, they don't want to give up the high draft picks and whatever the money stuff, maybe you get Pickens back. That's a guy who gives you a young piece going forward. Obviously, there's some challenges there. You got to he's obviously not the finished product, but clearly the talent level is through the roof. So maybe if you're a team that's trying to like, I hate to use the word rebuild, but maybe George Pickens is an attractive guy for you in exchange for a guy who doesn't want to be here.
Yeah, and Pat Fairmouth is their tight end. They just paid him big money, but he just hasn't been very productive this year. And Justin Fields is not a guy that likes to attack the middle of the field, and that's where Fairmouth would work. So it's just I think they should be able to bottle up this passing game. It's going to be more, can you stop the Steelers option game, because that to me is their biggest threat.
And that's where Diablo will be big. Diablo's very definitely one of the better athletes on defense and has a lot of range. So that's why if him and Spillane are back to working together, definitely have a better shot against Fields as far as keeping him contained a little bit.
All right, let's get into matchups of the game. What is your matchup of the game, Sean?
I think TJ Watt versus whoever's at right tackle, whether that's DJ Glaze or Thayer Munford, either way. I think there's going to be a pretty big mismatch the Raiders will have to deal with. We'll see Steelers if Alex Highsmith ends up playing or Nick Herbig. If not, that in theory should make it a little bit easier to double team TJ Watt. You still have to worry about Cameron Hayward up the middle, but he's aging a little bit and doesn't seem to be the same player he was in his prime anymore. So I think that TJ Watt matchup is pretty huge. Particularly if it's his Glaze. I mean, a rookie offensive tackle going up against a player like that, like that's tough sledding. And so I would imagine they would send some help his way, whether that's in the form of a chip from a tight end or running backs. I don't think Brock Bowers probably isn't going to do much help when it comes to blocking, but maybe Harrison Bryant could get involved. Or I know we didn't mention, I don't think, an injury report section, but Michael Mayer is still dealing with a personal issue, so he's not going to play this week. But whether it's Alexander Madison or whoever's in there to block, I think you have to send some extra help to TJ Watt's way, because he could wreck this game for you in terms of the pass game. We talked about O'Connell is not the most mobile guy, and so if Watt is getting instant pressure, he's gonna get him, most likely. So I think that's really the key matchup for this game for the Raiders to have any sort of hope on offense.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely containing Watt's huge. I'll go back to Alexander Madison. I think you need to get the running game going. I think he's the guy right now. But even more importantly, I think that his ability to catch the ball against this defense will be key, because Aiden's going to get rid of it. So I think swing passes will be big. I'm sure they're going to try to take away Brock Bowers. So I think you're going to need another target. And you mentioned Trey Tucker, which I do. It's a big play option. But I think on second and third downs, I think the swing pass Madison could be a big weapon in this game.
Trey Tucker against Porter Jr. and against Dante Jackson. I think he could beat a lot of corners, but I just don't think these corners are that fast. They let guys get behind him. So I think I'll be looking out for that to see if he could get a big play. I mean, they tried to hit him against the Broncos, but some passes were underthrown, and Roddy Moss is just a very physical press corner. So they weren't able to do that, but we'll see this week if he can get going. All right, let's talk about X factors.
Let's see. X factor in this one. I think it's got to be Aidan O'Connell, right? Well, I mean, I know we already talked about him a good amount, but you know, the Raiders are really searching for that spark on offense. I don't know where else it would come from, you know, unless he provides an upgrade for them at the quarterback spot. If it's more of the same, then I think this offense is just going to keep struggling, and the Raiders just aren't going to have enough, you know, firepower on that end to really compete this season. And so I think he's the guy. You know, if they're going to have any different results on offense, he's got to play better than Gardner Minshew did.
Yeah, just don't turn the ball over. I think that'd be the key thing. I mean, and Aiden's even we saw in preseason and even in the games he's played this year, he will throw a pick. So I don't know if that's the part where under pressure how he responds under pressure, and the Steelers will put some pressure on him. So that's definitely a big storyline is Aidan O'Connell. They made a quarterback change, and again, that's kind of you're hoping that changes your tide of your season a little bit because you're definitely going kind of on a downward path. You know, all these injuries on defense, and you're trying to withstand that. And so I think Aidan O'Connell and it's gonna. I mean, he had 10 games last year, and we saw a good sample size, but that was with Davante, so it's a lot different now without him. So we'll see how his chemistry is with Brock Bowers. That'll be a big thing going forward. But yeah, he's the man on the spot for sure this week.
Yeah, just to go on a defensive side of the ball, say Palomau and Morig. Like I mentioned, those guys are going to be big when it comes to stopping the QB run game. And for this game, for the Raiders to win this game, it's going to have to be a low scoring game. So I think those guys are going to be huge. They can make some big tackles in the alley, maybe bait Fields into a mistake. So those guys are my X factors. All right, let's get into predictions. Everyone's favorite part of the show. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I picked the Steelers. I think too many injuries on the defense side for the Raiders. I think Wilkins is a big loss. I know Jenkins and Butler are fine, but I think just in terms of the pass rush and he's been good against the run this year. It's just a big loss, which I'm not sure they can really recover from against a pretty good team. The Steelers are pretty solid up front, well coached, so I think they'll have a plan to attack them defensively. So too many injuries on defense. I don't know if Aidan O'Connell's a huge difference in Gardner Minshew. To me, they've always been kind of the same boat, so I'm not sure the boat's going to be going any faster in offense. So I'm going to say Steelers 27, Raiders 19.
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Steelers as well. I have them winning 23-13 in this one. I just think, as you mentioned, I think the injury losses are really mounting for the Raiders. I don't think the quarterback change is going to do enough for them to avoid a loss in this one. And Steelers offense has been whatever, but I do think their defense is elite. It's really good. And so I just don't see the Raiders putting up enough points in this one.
I'm gonna go Raiders. I'm gonna say they're gonna get that little Aiden O'Connell jolt, and they're gonna
What a shock!
and I don't, I think Patrick Graham is gonna come out with a good game plan against the Steelers. I have a feeling that Patrick Graham's gonna go old school Patrick Graham and go a lot of cover zero blitzes to deal with these injuries and to really test it if Fields is able to get rid of the ball quickly and beat the blitz. And yeah, I'm gonna say Raiders win this one 17-13.
Wow, what a thrilling game that would
I
be.
like it, man. That's a huge boost from Aidan O'Connell.
Oh, yeah.
Jolt.
17
No, no, no,
points.
no. Not bolt. Not boost. Not
Oh, no,
shot.
whatever.
It's
No, I mean it should be a low
jolt.
scoring game. They have a chance to win. I mean the Steelers are not great, but again the defense is pretty great. But the offense, I think this could be Fields' last start. Probably is my guess. I think the Russell Wilson, he's itching to go, and I think they kind of promised him a shot. And he was the starting quarterback before the year started. He got hurt, so I think the Steelers have lost 2 in a row. I think now, so I think this is kind of probably will be Fields' last start. But he's been fine, just not been great. But I think they clearly want to try and have some more passing success. That's why I think they'll go back to Russell at some point. But it's a winnable game. I know that's a phrase you Raider fans or Ted hates to hear, but it is winnable. I just don't think they have the horses to do it on defense.
All right, that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe on Apple and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for joining us, and we will be with you guys live after the Steelers game, in which the Raiders will win because I predicted it, and it's gonna happen.
Okay.
So,
All right. All
all
right,
right,
I
Joe.
like
guys.
it.
See you
Peace.
Sunday.
If they win, you get like a little O'Connell tattoo like on your wrist, like a little.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah, I think that'd be a nice, nice
Yeah.
touch.
I'll get the AOC meme tatted on me.
All right.
What's the other one from the show? The Troopers.
No, the
That
one
one.
that I've been tweeting every time Gardner Minshew makes a mistake. No,
Ah, I got you. I got you. All right.
all
What's
right,
up?
guys.
Whatever you want. All right, boys.
All right, Joe.
Hasta la
Peace.
vista.